Hey, hey, hey. It's Tuesday morning. It is episode 308. And you're listening to Motivated Entrepreneurs. This is one of the very, very last episodes. And then we'll still be on the same channel in terms of a podcast. But it will be primarily for my kids. That's the idea here. Because I've always done this podcast for my kids. And I feel like I've just gone away from that. So the idea is I'm going to talk about my learnings and my thoughts, feelings. I'm going to tell you how I've done in the previous week as well. So it's going to be accountability. But I'm going to get real as well. Because on this podcast, because it's shared on my social media, I tend not to share not private information, but just information in terms of how well a business is going, what's going right, what's going wrong. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you when me and my wife argue, Zach and Kai, because that would just be weird, and then you don't get my side of it anyway. And we don't argue anyway. We never argue. Anyway, this is still Motivated Entrepreneurs, but I'm getting back to basics, and I'm getting it. I'm going to pretend that it's me talking to my kids. And it's lessons for them, lessons that I have learned along the way. And so today, it's a very, very important message. And I'm going to pretend it's for my kids because I think that this is so, so important. And by the way, I'm not saying you won't get anything out of these episodes because these are things that I've learned along the way of my journey, of my education. And I am feeling that it's good enough to share with my kids. So if it's good enough to share with my kids, then do you know what? I'm sure that you'll get some benefit out of it. And today we're talking about Dawn Stacey as well. What an incredible individual she is. Basketball coach in the US, and a documentary series on Netflix. When Game Changers, was it Game Changers? I don't know. It might have been Game Changers. Anyway, a documentary series, and it was really good. And so, yeah, she says, this is so good. I'm building it up, but it is honestly good. And I know that I'm not going to do it justice. What is delayed is not denied. Just think about that. Let it resonate with you. Hold that thought. What is delayed is not denied. So what is delayed, it doesn't necessarily mean you won't get it. So it's not denied. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. You can't speed it up and you can't slow it down. But if you have patience, you are going to be successful. How many people, how many thought leaders tell you patience is so, so important? I promise you, patience is so, so critical to your success. Remember, what is delayed is not denied. It doesn't mean you'll never get there. If you shoot for a goal and don't hit that goal, it doesn't mean you won't hit that goal in the future. There has been many, many, many occasions when I've gone for something and I haven't quite hit it. I haven't quite got there. But guess what? I have got there eventually. I'll give you an example. In February last year, do you know what? Bollocks. I'm going to go for numbers. Right. So we had a £260,000 house that was worth 260 grand. Well, we sold it for 260 grand. So modest house. It was all right. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's from where I lived there from a child. And we wanted to put an extension on. And so in February 2020, we tried to get a loan to put an extension on, £100,000. And the business is doing really, really well. The numbers are good. But for some reason, we got turned down. We got turned down initially for the loan, 100 grand. That's all we wanted. We had over 200 grand. We only owed 60 grand on the house. So we had 200 grand in equity in the house. And we got turned down for the loan. And again, what is delayed is not denied. We went another route and we eventually got that £100,000 loan for the extension. But it turns out that because of the time, because of a rigmarole, because of what we went through, our needs changed. We went for I think it took 2 months in total to get the okay for this loan, or maybe even 3 months. And by the time that had come through, by the time we got the loan, we had 100 grand and we were like, well, we don't want to do the extension anymore. We want to move. And that it wasn't denied. It was only delayed. So remember, when you hit against a brick wall, it's not denied. It's just delayed. And so you need to reframe it. You need to understand. You need to talk to yourself. You need to understand that your failures are not failures. It's just delayed gratification. That's all it is. It's not denied. It's just delayed. And it turns out that because the house we was going for, I mean, this is serendipity at its work. We was going for a 900 grand house. I mean, how stupid. We got turned down for £100,000 borrowing, an extra £100,000 borrowing. So that means we'd be borrowing 160 grand. We got turned down from that for Yorkshire Bank, right? And literally 3 months later, we went for a mortgage application to borrow 600 and excuse me, around about 650 grand, and we got it passed first time. I mean, how ridiculous. But guess what? This is serendipity. And normally I don't share figures like this. But the only reason that we was allowed to have that is because we had the deposit in cash. So we had 100 grand in the bank and we had the equity in the house. We had 300 grand. So we had much more deposit than we needed. But guess what? The way serendipity works, if we wouldn't have sold, if we wouldn't have had that extra mortgage, if we wouldn't have actually got that extra money, we wouldn't have been able to get the next house. We wouldn't have been able to get the money because we didn't meet the deposits criteria for this certain mortgage company. So because it was delayed, it helped us in the long run. It was delayed. It wasn't denied. It was just delayed. Things happened for us, not to us. Remember that. Everything you're going through, it's happening for you. It's a gift, the good and the bad. It's all experiences. And guess what? We don't know if it's a good or a bad thing at the time. We only know in the future what appears to be a good thing, a good opportunity, a good thing. then time will tell that could be a bad thing. And what appears to be a bad thing can turn out to be the best thing in the world. Like I've told you about Laza, my failures of a restaurant changed my life. And so I was so frustrated with Yorkshire Bank when I got delayed, when I got denied that £100,000. But then finally we got there. Finally, 3 months later, we got that money. But we changed our mind. We didn't want that money. We wanted the money, but we didn't actually want to use it for the same thing that we thought we wanted to use it for. And because of that situation, because we got it delayed, it allowed us to buy our forever home. It allowed us the ability. Without that, I mean, can you imagine if we got it accepted straight away? I'd be still living in that house right now, and I wouldn't be living in my forever home. I mean, circumstances because of COVID, it was a lot cheaper, etc. The stamp duty, nobody was buying it, so we got it at a much discounted price. It was first up for $950. So we were so lucky. We were so lucky. But at first, I was so frustrated. I was so annoyed. But really, that was happening for me. Not getting that mortgage was happening for me, because if I'd got that mortgage straight away, I'd have had an extension on the house and I'd be still living in my old house and I'd never get the money back for that extension I put on. But guess what? Because it delayed it, it didn't deny it, it just delayed it. That delaying helped me, ultimately helped us, helped the family, helped you, Zach and Kai, helped mum. It helps us all. So remember, what is delayed is not denied. Whatever goal, whatever ambition you are shooting for, just remember, if it doesn't go right, it doesn't mean that it's denied. It just means that it's delayed. So you've got to make sure. And remember, if you have patience, you are going to be successful. If you keep knocking on that door, no matter what, that was really passionate. And that was from the soul. Like, no matter what, I really believe that. No matter what, if you keep going, you will be successful. If you keep having patience and having low expectations of what other people can do for you, that should be a whole new podcast. Don't expect anything from other people as well, because if you have expectations, guess what? You get let down. I tell Claire that all the time. I tell your mum that all the time. If you have expectations of other people, then you get let down. If you have no expectations, you never get let down. You never expect anything in return. Have no expectations, because remember, you're only judging and expecting things in return, and you're judging them by your own standards, what you would do. But remember, people aren't you. People are different. People have different thoughts and feelings. People have different lives. And so what you consider to be correct, other people's won't be. So remember, don't have any expectations of other people, because you will only get hurt. And people don't mean to hurt you if you have expectations. It's your fault if you have expectations and people let you down, because you had expectations of a certain situation, a certain scenario. Don't have expectations of people. So remember, have patience and you will be successful. Keep knocking on the door. Whatever is delayed, it is not denied. Remember that. It's beautiful. Dawn, Stacey, I love you. Absolutely brilliant. Right, tomorrow we're talking about, I guess, some sort of failure. All right, my friends, I love you. I appreciate you. And I will speak to you on New Year's Eve. All right, bye-bye.